next few days. So for right now, we have light breezes, just a little bit of haze. There actually is a layer of very light, it's nothing to get worried about, just very light smoke all around the Gulf Coast region. And a lot of it has to do with just little small fires that have been burning. Some of them have been small, grass fires that have been burning. Others have been prescribed burns, real small stuff. But it just does kind of float around in the atmosphere right now because the winds have been really light. All right, 71 degrees. Actually, that's not chilly anymore. I should update that. Outstanding weather today, and then staying very nice, but gradually warming as we progress through the week. High temperatures back in the middle 80s with noticeably more humidity too. Now that's important because when the higher humidity comes in, it's going to lower our chance for seeing wildfire risk. But next week we have a cold front coming in that could possibly bring us some higher winds, especially on Monday, maybe Sunday night Monday, with some much drier air coming in, which would mean not just a wildfire threat here, but statewide. We actually do not have any active fires across the state, which I'm happy to say right now, at least the latest report from the Texas A&M Forest Service. All right, here's a look at the setup for the day today. So all the areas that are colored in brown are still very dry, but the wind direction is starting to come up from the Gulf. And so it'll maybe take a day or two, but we'll have the atmosphere start to moisten up a little bit more. We'll have a little bit more cloud cover. But for the day today, probably just completely sunny again. Relative humidity values for this afternoon will be lowest to the north, and that's where there's a very slightly increased risk for seeing a wildfire burn if anything gets sparked. Heading into tomorrow, the humidity value just a little bit higher, let's say for Houston about 42%, and then headed toward about Thursday, a little bit higher, 52%, so it just gets a little higher each afternoon. This is the area where we have a combination of dry vegetation and low humidity and a little breeze kicking in for the afternoon. So that's the area that's a little bit more critical for fire weather today. And again, don't get me wrong, it's not like the whole place is going up like a tinderbox. It's just that we want to avoid anything, from sparking a fire because we are back in drought mode across much of the area. All right, so 71 right now in Sugar Land, 70 in Katy, 67 in Tomball. Tomball, you were down to 42 degrees this morning. We talk about a rapid warm up in temperatures. That's what light winds, sunshine, and dry air will do for you. High pressure is located over there around the Carolinas. And so wrapping around the outside of this high, this is called the Gulf opening up. And it means a return of moisture coming in, not just here, but across the state of Texas, which is why temperatures are pretty mild out there. Amarillo could even get up to 86 for the day today. All right, as far as the tropics are concerned, really there's nothing to worry about. We're definitely past the Texas hurricane season. Of course, nothing is impossible, but we've never had a hurricane strike after October 15th, and obviously, now we're well into November. So we'll keep an eye on things for the rest of the USA. For example, there might be a little low that comes out of here and moves into an area around Cancun. I mean, it just doesn't look like it's going to have any chance to make it here because we're just not in that steering current kind of mode. I did want to show you this, what the GFS computer model is showing us heading into next week. So this is Sunday, at 11 a.m., and it's showing a front right around there with these winds spilling in from the north. Now that would be the arrival of some gusty, kind of dry and chillier winds coming in Sunday night into Monday. So keep that in mind here. I'll show you that in the 7-day too. Southeast breeze today, upper 70s. Yeah, maybe we hit 80 in a couple of spots. Cool this evening after the sun goes down. Remember, the sun set is at 5:30, so it's a little bit of getting used to still. Not as cold, middle 50s tonight. More sunshine tomorrow with just a few fair weather clouds, low 80s. Now here comes that 7-day forecast. We have that warming trend taking us through the end of the week. Then there's the front that I just mentioned that right now looks like it's going to be heading into the area on Sunday, leaving behind some chilly conditions. Now I'm not super confident about these exact temperatures a week out on Monday, but just we'll keep an eye out for that for some of the blustery conditions that'll be possible. In the meantime, you know what? It's just great out there.
Yeah. Just beautiful. It's a great day to go stand in line and vote.
Yeah, we were kind of joking about that earlier this morning, that it's like the weather's so nice, you don't mind the long line, out the door.
Yeah, just make a day of it, bring some snacks.
Bring some snacks, have a little picnic outside, take pictures.
All right, thanks a lot.
All right.
Well, today is election day, and voters across Texas, so you've got a big job ahead of you. You got to decide 17 proposed amendments to the state's constitution, and voters in Congressional District 18, they are going to be casting their ballots in the special election to fill that congressional seat that was left open after Sylvester Turner's death. You are looking right now at a live picture from the election headquarters. Tanisha Hudspeth is going to be speaking at that podium in just a few moments. We're waiting for her to come out and kind of just give us an update on how things are going so far this morning, what voters can expect, any thing to be aware of. We always want to check in, make sure things are going smoothly, that there aren't any issues, or if there are any issues, that they're being addressed and how they're being addressed. But so we are awaiting any moment for her to come and step up to that podium to give us that live update. And as soon as she does, we will bring that to you. But again, we have some big things on the ballot today. So 17 proposed amendments to the Constitution. That's a lot to decide. And of course, that critical District 18 congressional seat. Polls opened 3 hours ago. And so they've been open for a few hours. Voting traffic has been a little on the light side. That's kind of expected for an election like this. It's not a presidential year. That's usually when, of course, we see the biggest turnout. And so sometimes elections like this, we see a little bit lighter traffic, but the weather's certainly not going to be an issue to hold anybody up. We do have a guide I want to let you know. So if you have questions, one, you need to find your polling place, or maybe you don't know what's on the ballot, you want to take a look at it before you head over. You can find everything you need before you head out. It's all on our website for you, fox26houston.com. Right there on the homepage, we just showed it to you, is a voter guide. And inside, we've got the voting locations. We've even got sample ballots for all 18 counties. So you just choose your county and you can see what your ballot is going to look like before you head out. Lena DeFlorius has also done a great job. She's been breaking down all 17 of those proposed amendments for the last few weeks on our morning show. So you can see there too her breakdowns of what the proposed amendments are and what they mean, because sometimes that language is complicated and it's hard to understand. If I vote for this, what does that mean? If I vote against this, what does that mean? So she kind of breaks it down so that when you do vote one way or the other, what exactly it is that you're either supporting or voting down. We also have races, by the way, that we are watching in other parts of the country, big ones. We've got the New York mayoral race, and we also have gubernatorial races in Virginia and I think it's New Jersey. And so these are images right now from the mayoral race in New York City. Voters will decide their next mayor. The candidates are Democrat Zoran Mandami, and he's the former Democratic governor, former Democratic Governor Andrew Cuomo is running against him, but he's now running as an independent. And then you've got Republican Curtis Sliwa, I'm pronouncing that wrong, Silwa. And then of course, as I mentioned, we've got the gubernatorial contest in Virginia and New Jersey. More moderate candidates, more moderate Democrats are carrying leads over Republicans in those states. And then, of course, big issues on the ballot in California. Democratic Governor Gavin Newsom is pushing a redistricting plan that would edge out Republican seats in Congress. It would create 5 more Democratic seats, and that's actually response to what happened here in Texas. And you'll remember, so we had a big redistricting vote here in Texas where we had additional Republican seats. And you'll remember the Democrats left the state. They went to Chicago for a little while to kind of stall the vote. But eventually they did come back, and then we did see that redistricting go through. So the ballot measure in California is in response to that, to kind of counterbalance the additional Republican seats with more Democratic seats from there. So we'll be watching that very closely and let you know what the results are there, what kind of impact that will have for the big picture. Again, we're waiting for Okay, we just got word that Tanisha Hudspeth is stepping up to the podium now to give us an update on elections in Harris County. Let's listen in.
Have been processed to vote. The polls will close at 7 p.m. So all voters permitted in line by 7 p.m. will have an opportunity to cast their ballot. Wondering what's on the ballot? There are 17 state constitutional amendments for the entire state of Texas. You're a registered voter in Texas to choose from, for or against, so do your homework before going in. There's a special election for Congressional District 18, a special election for the city of Houston at large, position 4, and many other school board and trustee elections throughout the county. So that's why it's really vital you go to Harris Votes and view your specific sample ballot. You can take written materials into the polling location with you, but not your cellular device. You have to put those away. You can't use that within the 100 feet of the voting center room. So be sure if you need help as you're trying to remember those propositions, you can print out or take notes on your notebook paper to assist you as you cast your ballot today. You can also find what location is closest to you. Simply put in your zip code and find the top 5 spots, whether it's near where you work, where you drop the kids off for school, or where you're shopping. That's my favorite part, right? So again, harrisvotes.com. If you have questions or concerns regarding today's election, you can call our hotline, 713-755-6965. That number is 713-755-6965. The 7 qualifying IDs voters will need to have when going to vote is the Texas driver's license, any Texas identification card, or the free election identification certificate, Texas handgun license, United States military ID, United States citizenship certificate with a photo, or a United States passport, book, or card, or any Texas election ID certificate that you have. Again, all this information is on harrisvotes.com. If you qualify to vote by mail and you have your mail ballot in hand because you don't believe it's going to make it to us in time via mail, you can simply take that mail ballot to the vote center with you, surrender it, and vote a regular ballot. If you're not able to get out of your vehicle, you can vote curbside. Curbside voting by law is required at every single vote center. And you can also drop your mail ballot off. If it's voted and done, you'll have to have your ID to 1019 Congress. So if you're a mail ballot voter and you're listening to my voice right now, you have it in hand, but you haven't put it in the mailbox, you can take it downtown to 1019 Congress. There'll be a stand outside that building so that you can see we're available to receive your ballot. Any questions? Well, I just said earlier, we voted well over 30,000. The first part of the morning is always kind of, everyone kind of getting into the groove. So no major issues, anything that needed to be addressed. We always have techs in the field to do that within a pretty quick time frame. So right now, the only issue is having more voters get out to the polls to actually cast their ballot. These are local elections. They meet you at your doorstep. And I know there's a lot of attention on larger election years, but we really want to get the message across that there are very important measures on this ballot. Any other questions?
I know that you said y'all have some techs out right now.
Sure.
Making sure things keep rolling.
That's right.
We got some reports again this morning within the last hour or so.
Okay.
Where someone who had a cell phone that shouldn't have been in the voting booth took a picture of the screen that said error message
Okay.
on 2 different computers that they tried to load on. Any particular reason why that error message was?
Well, I have not received that in regards to Briar Grove, but we'll look into that immediately now that we're discussing it. That information definitely has to come to us first to be able to address it. So I cannot give any feedback to something I'm not quite aware of. Again, if issues come up, the election judges are given hotline numbers to call us immediately to either walk them through processes or to be able to address it immediately. So I can't necessarily give an exact response to Briar Grove. It's really important that voters and election workers contact us directly on the numbers that have been provided to them. Sometimes people want to share on social media and they don't always have that information correct. So make sure you go to your local county office for real-time feedback and information. But I will tell you, we've had no reported issues as I walked up here today in terms of voters being able to vote at vote centers. So it could have been something that we've already addressed. Thank you. Any other questions? Yes. Well, in terms of turnout, at the end of early voting, over 212,000 voters had voted here in Harris County. Now, when you think about the amount of registered voters, 2.5 registered, that was only 8% of the vote as of the last of early voting. Today, we'll have a better look as we arrive to the end of Election Day to see how many people will vote. We're kind of comparing to previous off-year elections. So right around another 200,000 is what we're expecting. I hope that we have more voters. But right now, according to the last day of early voting, it was right about 8%. You all heard earlier that we have 600 Election Day sites during early voting, 70 Election Day sites. The sheer size of Harris County is the combination of 25 states put together. And so vote centers can be anywhere from your church in your neighborhood to a community center to an HOA facility. It really depends on those entities and whether they're willing to be a polling location and if they comply with ADA compliance. So what you might see in the middle of the city like a West Gray could be very different if you come to Humble and it's your local library. So there's not a way that you can really compare, but I can say there's more than enough of locations for voters to choose from. You don't have to vote where you're registered. You can vote anywhere within Harris County. Now that is Harris County. If you live in Fort Bend, Brazoria, Montgomery, or other surrounding counties, you have to vote in the political subdivision in which you're registered. Off years, typically, for some reason, voters are not keyed in like they are in an even year election. And so we are here to make sure that they know you can go to Harris Votes, look at what's on the sample ballot, but make a plan to vote. Be an informed voter. Thank you for that question. Yes. In terms of Congressional District 18, Congressional District 18 has been vacant since March of this year. Former mayor and former Congressman Sylvester Turner passed away. The governor called a special election for this November to fill that vacancy. But in between that time, the special sessions in the state legislature took place, and there was redistricting for not only Congressional District 18, but multiple other congressional districts. And so what voters should know is the changes to those lines will not take place in terms of voting until 2026 midterm elections, right? If you have been in CD 18 and registered in CD 18 for some time, this November, you are still in CD 18. Now, it could be a different story when we get to 2026, but you should know for this November and any potential runoffs that Congressional District 18 lines have not changed currently. Thank you so much for that question. Any other questions? All right. So give our election workers something to do today. They are waiting on you. Make sure you give an election worker a thank you. Don't just take your I voted sticker without saying thank you. These folks are spending a lot of time training and preparing for today. And so we just want to make sure that you know harrisvotes.com. You can call our election hotline at 713-755-6965, 713-755-6965, and give us just a second. Okay, no worries. Thank you all so much for your time.
You have been listening live to Tanisha Hudspeth giving us an update on elections so far this morning. Polls have been open a little over 3 hours. She says no reported issues for any voters going to cast their ballots yet. Things are running pretty smoothly. She said in early voting, they had 212,000 voters cast their ballots already. That's about 8% of the registered voters. We have 2.5 million registered voters in Harris County. She points out in Harris County, if you're registered to vote, you can do it at any polling place that you like. In Fort Bend or Montgomery County, you need to go to the polling location where you are registered. And if you do have a mail-in ballot that you haven't mailed yet, you can still drop it off today. The office is on Congress Street, and they're ready to take those ballots. So that was our update from Tanisha Hudspeth. We'll continue to keep you updated on how elections are going, but the good news is she is reporting that there are no reported issues preventing anybody from being able to cast their ballot so far this morning. We want to get you up to date on the other ongoing issue that we are covering. That, of course, is the government shutdown and its impact, its headaches that it's causing at the airports. This is Bush Intercontinental Airport. This is a live picture right now. This is a good look. This is things moving smoothly for a change at Bush right now, because this is not what it has looked like. So you can see if you have a flight and you're headed out, now is a good time to be there, because that line is really moving along. It hasn't looked like that in the past few days. People have been recommended to arrive, with a few hours of lead time, and that's because on Sunday and Monday, the wait time just to get through the TSA checkpoints was more than 3 hours. And we've even talked to travelers who had flights scheduled for Sunday, but they waited so long in long lines for TSA, they didn't make their flight. And they had to come back Monday and wait again in line to go through TSA. This is all, of course, because of the government shutdown. We have significantly fewer TSA agents that are working right now. And of course, we also have issues with some of them calling out sick because they're not being paid while this government shutdown goes on. We are in day 35, which officially ties the record for the longest government shutdown that we have had at the federal level. So we are in a tie for that. We're, of course, actually expecting to break that record, because we have certainly not seen any significant progress on an agreement on the budget as of yet. But this is a live picture at Bush Intercontinental Airport. They are still recommending, even though things look like they're moving smoothly right now, they want you to go a few hours early before your flight, because these lines will ebb and flow. Again, they're only going through TSA. It's only open, I believe, in gates A and E, if I'm correct. The other gates, my producer Brittany's telling me, yes, I'm correct. So gates A and E, you can do your TSA checkpoint, but the other gates are closed right now. So check in, see where you need to go, depending on where you're flying out of. And just plan on some extra time. And at Hobby, they're saying right now too, those lines are about 10 minutes, but earlier it was expect about an hour. So again, plan ahead whether you're going to Bush or going to Hobby, because while we're still in the shutdown, we're going to have fewer TSA agents out there working those checkpoints. So just be prepared for that, and we'll continue to keep you posted. As I mentioned, we are on day 35. This ties the record that you'll remember was set in 2019. It was the longest government shutdown that we had had. President Trump says he still needs a few Senate Democrats to vote for a simple funding bill to reopen the government before he says he's willing to negotiate on some of these other issues. The sticking point, of course, is the Affordable Care Act subsidies. So this is a live look right now at the Senate floor, and we are waiting to hear what lawmakers will have to say, and we're going to bring that to you as soon as they do start speaking. But of course, we are watching so closely the debate or the issues over the subsidies for the ACA, because without those subsidies, you'll remember for many years they've been subsidized. Without those, it means that premiums for people who have that insurance are about to go up significantly. And I've even seen some charts laying out that for some people who are used to having it fully subsidized, they were paying zero, and it could be going up as much as $300 a month. So you can imagine for particularly lower income people, that is a huge chunk to absorb in a budget that they were not expecting. And so we'll continue to keep you posted on what's happening there. If they do pass this temporary extension, it would be about 3 weeks. So that would give them 3 weeks to try and hash out and agree on a final budget. But that's kind of what's on the table right now, is this 3-week extension. The Trump administration says that they, meantime, we want to get you updated on the SNAP benefits. The Trump administration says they are issuing partial SNAP benefits during this government shutdown. The U.S. Department of Agriculture said that this is going to tap about $4.5 billion from that emergency contingency fund that we've been telling you about. So that would cover about 50% of the current allotments for eligible households who receive SNAP benefits. But these benefits are not going to be available immediately. So local groups are doing their part to try and help out. They've been, really working to stock up the food pantries. They've really been bulking up because not only do we have SNAP recipients going without their benefits for the past few days because the benefits weren't paid on November 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and now it's the 4th. So anybody who received their payments typically on those dates of the month, they have not received their payments yet. And when they do receive them, it's going to be half of what it usually is. Typically, the average household gets about $190 a month. So if it's half, we're talking about $95 for the month. But we want to take you to some sound that we have with Pastor James Lee. He is from the church at Bethel's family that has been working to help prepare for this.
What you guys are doing today?
Today we're a super site for this area, partnering with the Houston Food Bank. We're here because those that are affected by the government shutdown, and also those that their SNAP benefits have been cut. So we're here trying to help to fill those gaps. We're here every week serving the folks here in the Southwest area and also in the Houston community. We're not zip code restricted at all, so anybody can come.
Excellent. And like you said, you do this every week. This isn't something that's just for this, but the big site, the big distribution is...
Yes. The super site distribution now that we're doing here is to offset those that are shut out by the government shutdown and also those that are affected by the loss of SNAP benefits. So we are a super site. We'll be here on the 4th of November, the 11th of November, and the 18th of November.
Talk about how important it is for this. I mean, these folks that need a little help.
Yes, this is extremely, extremely important because these gaps that people have in their life, especially affected by like the shutdown or SNAP, we're here to fill those gaps. The very first bill that will be affected by you missing paychecks and by not being able to get the SNAP benefits is going to be your food bill. But you can supplement the food by coming to a site like us, coming to a pantry and connecting with us so that we can go ahead and just fill the pantry for a day or two, just enough to help you get through.
For the folks that maybe aren't affected or aren't as affected, how can they help?
Well, you can help several ways. One, you can come and volunteer. Two, you can also give. You can go to our website, bethelsheavenlyhands.org, and you can sign up to volunteer, or you can just donate, because we have to be able to offset the cost from the extra hours that we're extended to help the people in the community that need to be helped. And one way you can help is by giving, and that will help us to offset those costs and offset the extra hours, absolutely.
And the best way to do that, obviously, is go to the website.
Just go to the website.
What else? Is there something I missed that we need to talk about?
No, I just wanted to, I guess we can just talk about the impact. The impact that we're having here today, it's going to be far, far, far reaching. The impact is not just because of the government shutdown. It's not just because of the SNAP benefits. There are people every single day that live in a state of disaster. So we are here every day to serve the people in the Houston community, to make sure that those gaps that come into people's lives that happen even after times like this, that those gaps can be filled. That's our purpose, that's our mission, and we're going to continue to do this until we can't do it anymore.
All right, you've been listening to Associate Pastor James Lee from the church at Bethel's Heavenly Hands. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with much more right after this.
Rise and shine, up and at 'em.
All right, welcome back as we continue our coverage on this election day. We just heard moments ago from the Harris County clerk about how things are going. She says so far there have been no reported problems that have prevented anyone from being able to cast their ballot today. But let's go live right now out to our Jade Fleury. She is at one of our voting locations, and we want to check in and see what are you seeing in terms of turnout, Jade, and how things are going.
Well, because we've been in the building, I haven't gotten a chance to see, but when we were at one of the polling locations in Acres Homes, we actually saw quite a few people trying to cast their ballot before heading into work. But like you guys said, Harris County Clerk Tanisha Hudspeth just gave us an update just kind of on the general election and special elections, just giving us some key information so far that they said that over 42,000 voters have already cast their ballots just this morning, and that number continues to grow. They also say that they are expecting about 200,000 voters overall today, and there are a lot of things that voters will be deciding today, including 17 state constitutional amendments that they will be voting for or against. There's also a City of Houston at-large position for that they will be putting somebody in that position. Also positions for HISD School Board of Trustees. Now this is pretty important because since the TEA's takeover in 2023, this is the first time that voters have actually got to choose a member for the Board of Trustees. So that's pretty interesting. Also the special election, which we have been covering all morning with District 18. Now, if you guys may remember, let me pull up the info. The 18th congressional seat has been empty since March. So you guys, this has been leaving this district without a voice in Washington. It was previously held by the late Sylvester Turner, who succeeded longtime Representative Sheila Jackson Lee, and then he passed away 2 months into his term. So again, voters will be deciding the outcome of this important election. And just a reminder for everybody, the polls opened at 7 a.m. and they will close at 7 this evening. They said that they will take anybody who is in line, but after that, you will not be able to cast your ballot. Back to you guys in the studio.
All right, Jade, thank you so much. And after you're done voting, we're going to help you relax and feel better. We've got Andrea Dugas from Yoga Better back with us for another edition of 5 Minutes to Feeling Better. But this time, we're not going to just move so much. We're going to talk about it because it's November, which means it's Thanksgiving time, and we need to feel grateful.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing: is that it's so funny. As I was walking into the building this morning, I crossed a gentleman, and we exchanged "How you doing?" and he said, "Can't complain." And every time someone says it, I'm like, yes, you can. There is a lot to complain about. There's infinity to complain about. And the reality is our brain is very geared towards those things because we need to survive them in one way, shape, or form. Right. And so gratitude is not inherent. It's actually a bonus that we get to sort of infiltrate our lives with. And so if you don't have a gratitude practice, I'm certainly you've heard of a gratitude practice. Yeah. There's a lot of good research that's been done that really suggests that there's a lot of benefit from your mental, like the how you feel about life, your outlook on life. It's such a great practice.
It can really relieve stress to take a moment and think about what's going good.
That's right. And so we all get pretty myopic in life. Like when I imagine myself, I call it gargoyling. I'm like, I'm getting my stuff done. Leave me alone. And just, especially when we're inundated with so many problems that we cannot solve. Like there's so many problems that we're not going to solve today. They're not getting solved. And so, okay, how do we support our future selves and actually enjoying right now? And it turns out that gratitude is a really great way to do that. I tell my children this, there's always two options in life. You can be focused on what doesn't work, and sometimes that's really helpful. But also, there's just as many things to be grateful for, and in my opinion, the more simple those things are, the better. And so right now, where you're sitting, whatever you're doing, can you actually pause, take a deep breath in, and actually get present to the little things in your life, like your fingers and your toes. All this, we get to like communicate and sometimes be frustrated and sometimes be empowered with things that we see on television and social media. Like we are so better connected in some ways. and that we have the ability to communicate with one another. To the fact, like, I have really enjoyed the last few days walking outside and seeing the leaves blow the trees. Like, that's one of my favorite things to see.
Feel that sunshine on you.
Yes, especially right now where we're going through this, you know, we're finally getting some fall.
Yeah,
It's
we
befalled
are.
us.
Yeah, it sure has.
It has.
Yeah.
So if you don't have a gratitude practice, or if you do, I'll show a couple things. I'll share with you a few things that I have done for myself.
Okay.
And you really want to have it be accessible to you, so you don't have to think to do it, because it's not. You need to place like little Easter eggs in your life so that you remember. So one of the things that I have done is I set a little piece of paper by my bedside, and I put that on top of my phone.
Oh, so you see it first.
I reach for that, and I have my pencil too, or my pen, and I will write down in the morning or at night before I go to bed just things that I'm grateful for, that I don't want to miss.
Yeah.
The other thing that I have done that's been very successal is I set an alarm that says be grateful, and I set a couple of them so that if I ignore the first one, which I have been known to do, that I have another one that'll be there just to remind me
To take a moment.
To take a moment.
Be grateful.
Yes. And then another way that you could do is like this. What are you grateful for?
I'm grateful for good health right now.
Yes, that's a good one.
Yeah.
And so you can actually ask the people in your life. What we do at the dinner table every night is we sit around the table and we say 5 things we're grateful for. I love it. Now you can say more.
Yeah.
But like creating a family dynamic.
You like wrap it up already.
No, my youngest and me were like, I have to like, okay, we got to move on now because there's so much to be grateful for. Once you see them, it's like you can't not see it.
Yeah.
And the last thing is just sharing yourself, like sharing what you're grateful for. It is as infectious as complaining. Complaining is infectious, or confectious? No, infectious. Gratitude is more confectious. It's sweeter.
Yeah,
I think that's
right.
confectioner sugar.
But
was what I was
yeah,
going
when
for.
you hear what someone else is grateful for, it reminds you. That's
reminds
right.
you.
That is a good thing. I'm grateful for that too.
Yeah. And there's all kinds of ways life could be going. And we're always going to have something to deal with. But in the midst of that, there's a lot of things that you've accomplished in your life that you're now standing on the shoulders of as you're working towards the new goals.
Right.
And so if you are, if you are creating this practice, like, and you do things like sharing things on social media, like share what you're grateful for, tag Fox 26 Houston, tag Yoga Better. Like, let's create an environment where we are not like trying to get away with complaints, because complaining's nice sometimes.
Yeah.
Can be enjoyable.
Yeah.
Like, blech.
But it can make a big difference to be grateful.
Yes,
Andrea,
for
you
sure.
got these are great tips. So
Yeah.
just take a moment, be grateful, relieve a little stress, and kind of have a better focus.
Yeah.
I love that. Thanks so
Yeah,
much
you're
for
so
sharing it
welcome.
with us. We appreciate it. And we'll be back with more right after this.
Fall's here. The leaves are dry.
Hi there, Melissa here. I'm back in the studio, and a local nonprofit dedicated to helping pediatric neurology patients in Houston is back with one of their annual holiday traditions, all for a great cause. Look at this little cutie pie I have here is my friend. The Bluebird Circle's annual Christmas market is happening this Saturday, so mark your calendars. Here to talk more about it is Sally Barber and Dodie Willingham. Welcome, ladies. I'm so happy to see you.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Well, as a medical reporter, I have gotten to see the amazing things that you all do for and with the neurology department. So let's talk more about that and what the Bluebirds is in the first place.
Well, the Bluebird Circle is 100 years old, and we established the Bluebird Clinic for Neurological Pediatrics in 1998, and we've donated over $30 million.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
And you've done a lot of that through our community's help, haven't you?
To the community through grants, and then some obviously from the proceeds from our shop. So we have really enjoyed that. And you know, Texas Children has seen 42,000 patients last year, and that's amazing. And 15% of the kids that are born today have some kind of pediatric neurology disorder. So we really are focused on making sure that we're doing something right.
That is incredible. Tell me more about the shop and what you brought in here.
Well, Saturday we're having our Christmas market on November 8th, and we brought in some of our highlights that will be shown at the shop on Saturday. We've got a lot of American Girl dolls, a lot of nutcrackers, a lot of Spode Christmas tree.
Nice.
We have a beautiful little Gucci wallet. We've got some gorgeous Christmas tree pins. I have a Christmas tree pin on right here. Radco ornaments, and we've even got some cute little Hanukkah gifts.
Yeah, look at
and
this
we've got
backpack.
one super duper special item is this wedding set, and it's an old mine cut diamond, a la Taylor Swift. That's the engagement ring she got.
Oh my goodness.
This will be debuted Saturday at the shop.
It's beautiful.
Very special.
Yeah. And then tell me more about, so people go there, they benefit because they're going Christmas shopping and they're buying something, but then that money makes a huge difference, right? How does that help?
Well, the money that we make at the shop through donations and consigners funds our clinic at the Bluebird Circle Clinic for Pediatric Neurology at Texas Children's Hospital.
That is incredible. Let's talk about how they're able to stretch those dollars. What difference does it make? Does it go toward research, or how does it make a difference?
It goes to 5 different clinics that we support for wets, epilepsy, and so forth. And some of the research has actually been used to help with Alzheimer's. So what they're doing now is helping with future. So and we donated last year $3 million. So every year we try to fund those research grants so that the doctors can continue.
And I am so excited that Texas Children's actually recently invited me to come and check out that lab. So I will be there soon. So everybody has to stay tuned for that, because you just don't think about a children's hospital taking such a close look at Alzheimer's disease, right? Like, I just think it's incredible that they're looking at the whole person there.
They are. And you know, Texas Children's Hospital was just noted as #1 in the world for neurology. So that's a good statement of being, joined with them, and we have clinics around. So it's not only the shop, but we also have clinics that we help see patients, and we don't see patients, but we register them, we call them. So it's really a joint effort, like two prongs of the same circle.
It's incredible. For anyone who's never been to that shop, tell us how we find you. Where is it?
Well, it's at 615 Alabama.
Okay, we have that on the screen
and
right now.
Yes, and it's on Saturday, November the 8th from 10 to 3. And people start lining up. I guarantee you, we open at 10, but they start lining up at 9 o'clock, and it's like, psh, they're in there, and they're just ready to just go crazy.
So you don't need to register, you don't need a ticket, you just show up and shop, baby.
We do, right.
It's a perfect time of year for that, isn't it?
And we have over 20 people that are going to be welcoming our guests, and so we're really excited about that.
And I am so happy that you are going to have perfect weather on Saturday, so I know the crowd is going to be bigger and better than ever. You don't have to worry about any inclement weather, just go out. And if there's a line, you can enjoy some fresh air, get some vitamin D, right?
Well, last year we served coffee down so that people would, we would wanted to welcome them and make sure that they knew that they were loved and appreciated, because all the dollars do go to the pediatric neurology.
Well, and there's obviously going to be so much more than this. There's a ton of stuff.
Hundreds.
This is a little sample.
Yeah, just a baby sample.
Well,
ladies,
sample.
Thanks for coming in.
We appreciate it so much.
All you do with the Bluebird Circle, and can't wait to see how your shop goes. I know it'll be super successful. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Thank you.
Rise and shine. Up and at 'em.
Trending this morning, British actor Jonathan Bailey has been named this year's Sexiest Man Alive for People magazine. They made the announcement last night, and this makes Bailey the first openly gay man to receive the honor. The Wicked and Bridgerton actor says being named Sexiest Man Alive is completely absurd, he says, but the honor of a lifetime. He says he had to stay tight-lipped about the news. Bailey did, however, spill the beans to his dog, Benson. Both will be featured in Friday's edition of People magazine. So congratulations to David Bailey being voted Sexiest Man Alive. And here we have determined that our Sexiest Man Alive here at Fox 26 is our Kevin Collins. And that's because we all love him. And look at how handsome he is, of course. Kevin, by the way, is the man who saves the day. Not only is he like kind of almost running a three-ring circus of keeping all these shows on the air, keeping all the graphics and sound and pictures and everything flowing smoothly, constantly throughout the morning. But he's also a wonderful person, and we love him. So, congratulations. Who's on the short list? Mike. Mike made the short list. Of course he did. Of course he did, our Mike Iskovitz. He's on the short. He was the runner-up. Someone's got to be the runner-up. It's Mike. But Kevin Collins is our Sexiest Man Alive here at Fox 26. And you know who else is on the list? Probably Nate Griffin, I think. Nate Griffin can make that list too. It's that time of the week where he takes us live to U of H's football practice. Lots of good things happening for their athletic program right now. So let's check in with Nate. How you doing, Nate?
Well, after hearing that, it's kind of like, I mean, Kevin, you got the Gremlin night there, and then you got Mike. You know, really, two good-looking guys. So
and we
I
got
totally
you
understand
too.
that. I knew I wouldn't make the list.
We got you too. You're all in there.
Nah, I knew I wouldn't make the list. That's okay. It's quite all right. But anyway, so we're at the University of Houston, and they're coming off of a loss to West Virginia. Fell out of the top 25. I haven't looked at the and I hate to say that, but I'll get back to that in a moment. So they're looking to get back in the winning track this weekend. We'll talk a little bit more about them as the week goes on. They're still trying to get past some things over here, but we can tell you this: we do know that the Houston Rockets won last night. Big game for them, big win for them. They have now won 4 games in a row. So congratulations to the Houston Rockets who are getting it done. University of Houston Cougars last night opened up the season, college basketball season, with a win, 75-57 win over Lehigh last night. They also unveiled their Final Four banner, the 7th Final Four banner in the history of the University of Houston. Also, head coach Kelvin Sampson won his 800th win, 800th game, and that is pretty cool. 800th game is what he won last night over Lehigh. So we got to see that. Really getting to experience the fact that they have another Final Four banner over here is just outstanding. And I can tell you right now, this team, ranked number 2 in the nation, they probably will contend for a national championship like they did against Florida last year, but fell in the championship game. So again, we got a whole season to watch them and really enjoy just how good they are. And the fact that Kelvin Sampson, 800th win. There are only 17 coaches who've ever won 800 games. He's number 17. So, you know, this is really big for them and that. As far as Houston, Texas are concerned, today is Tuesday, right? So today being Tuesday, today's their off day. We'll find out more about C.J. Stroud and the concussion protocol situation. Don't know if he's going to be out for a week or what the situation is. They really are going to have to find a different type of offense to run for Davis Mills if C.J. Stroud is out. It's just that the offense just doesn't move. I mean, you notice how many field goals they kicked Sunday. They kicked 5 field goals Sunday. You know, you can't win games by kicking off field goals. That's how Denver beat them. I mean, Denver scored at least 1. So you got to be able to score some touchdowns along with that. So we'll see what they do as far as C.J. Stroud is concerned. Then you've got Hunter Brown. Hunter Brown is a Cy Young Award candidate, and so is Tariq Skubal, the pitcher for the Detroit Tigers. I actually feel like, you know, Hunter Brown has a shot, but he might finish 3rd in the Cy Young American League Cy Young Award voting. I'd love to see him win it, so we'll see. I think the award's actually going to be announced on November 10th, so we'll find out who's going to win the American League Cy Young Award this year. Very well could be Hunter Brown, but he's going to be an integral part of that Houston Astros offense next year. Houston Astros, period, pitching staff next year, and hopefully they'll be able to lock him down with a really big contract. I just don't know if that's going to happen or not. Last but not least, and I don't know if you guys got a chance to watch the Los Angeles Dodgers take the Jays down the road and dump them off. Anyway, they beat the Jays, all right, in Game 7 in Toronto. The parade was yesterday, and it was phenomenal, and Shohei Ohtani actually spoke in English yesterday. He says, and I'll just break it down for you, he says he wants one more ring. He wants another ring. They want to do it again next year. So I think that's pretty cool. They didn't say he wanted one more ring. He said they want to do it again next year. They want to win. They want to win a World Series next year. So KC's trying to tell me something in my ears. I'm talking. What are you trying to tell me, KC? We did. We talked about Kelvin Sampson. That was the thing I mentioned right after U of H football. Well, no, don't be sorry. I'm glad you did. What else you got? What else you want to ask me? What is it? You want? Huh? We did not talk about so Texas knocked off Vanderbilt. They've moved up in the rankings. I need to take a look at where they are now. But Texas knocked off number 9 Vanderbilt. Did it at DKR this weekend. That was great to see. Texas A&M was off last week. Texas A&M is back to work this week. So there you have it. We'll talk more about college football later in the week, as well as high school football is coming tomorrow. High school football tomorrow. So I'm in studio. I may wear something kind of special tomorrow, representing our high schools here in Houston. I love high school football. So going to send it back to you. That's it for now. We got a lot more going on. Andre Ware, I'll tell you this. Andre Ware is getting his Houston, Houston Hall of Fame ring today. That's huge. He's getting it today in a ceremony today. that's going to be held. We're going to cover that thing a little bit later. So we got that, and Rice is having their presser. We'll be getting over there in just a little bit. So back to you guys in the studio.
Yeah, my goodness, you've got a busy day ahead of you. You're just getting started.
Yeah, we really do.
Yeah,
No
all right.
question.
Nate Griffin, thank you very much. And again, it is Election Day, so before we go, we want to remind you we have this fabulous free election guide on our website, fox26houston.com. You can find your polling place, see what's on your ballot, and we also want you to vote first in our poll. We want to know, are you planning to vote today in this election? So far, 85% of you have said yes, it is important, I'm voting, and it looks like 15% say no, you're not. But just use that QR code on your screen. It will take you right there. And thanks so much for being with us on HTX at 10. Don't go away, because Forecasting with Friends is up next.
Paul's here. The leaves are dry.
And welcome to our weather show here. We call it Forecasting with Friends, Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. exclusively streaming on Fox Local. And today we're going to focus a lot on the continuing cleanup and the after effects of Hurricane Melissa in Jamaica. We got a couple of great stories here coming up in just a few minutes about folks Americans who traveled from the USA to Jamaica and ended up getting stranded there for a week, because remember, the storm made landfall last Tuesday, so it's been a week now, and sort of their happy homecoming, coming back home. We also are going to be talking about our local potentially intensifying drought conditions here locally. So let's start off with a look at the beautiful weather that we have here today, a far cry from what they're seeing in some other parts of the world that I'll show you here in just a moment. So current conditions right now, completely sunny out there. It's amazing. Our current temps are rising into the 70s. So the latest temperature that we have here, whoops, I didn't mean to do that for you. Hold on just a second. The latest temperature that we have is 73. So under a clear sky, our temperatures are warming up really nicely. We were down in the 40s in a lot of locations early this morning. So Hobby's reporting 73, coming up from low temperatures that were in the low 50s. So yeah, quite a nice rise in temps. The wind there out of the south at 9, and that's helping conditions to warm up. We're already way ahead of schedule compared to where we were yesterday. Sugar Land, for example, right now 75 already here at 11 o'clock. We're about 72 at Bush, 74 Pasadena, and 72 Galveston. So we're actually not too far away from where we reached our high temperatures yesterday. We're within a few degrees, and we're aiming for about 4 more hours of warming here as we've been hitting our maximum temperatures at around 3 in the afternoon. All right, allergy levels are still running on the decent side out there, although I expect them to rise. We are going to get an update to the drought situation coming up this Thursday, but for today, just want you to know that we are still seeing drought conditions sort of expanding and worsening, at least across some parts of our area. And my concern is that we really don't have any rain this week, or at least nothing substantial on the way. I mean, yes, sure, maybe a couple of light sprinkles coming up late this week, and maybe a brief line of showers on Sunday, but overall not that much to put a dent in this drought. And then heading into next week, it looks like we're going to get a shot of some very dry air coming in, and then maybe windy conditions late Sunday and Monday, and that could fuel wildfire concerns across the region. So that's the current location of the drought. All right, checking out the tropics. Again, it's been 1 week since Jamaica took that historic landfall, Category 5 status, with, maximum sustained winds, the highest on record at landfall, the pressure, the lowest on record at landfall. And now it's just completely sunny over there. And elsewhere across the world, and we're going to look at video of this coming up here in just a moment, there's a typhoon that has made its way through the Philippines. This one is called Typhoon Kalmegi, and it was one of many typhoons to hit that part of the world this year. So let's get into it. So a typhoon has swept across the center of the Philippines, leaving at least 1 person dead. But look at that flooding. Typhoon Kalmegi is the 20th tropical cyclone to hit this year in the Philippines. Now, they get this every year, but when they're really bad ones like this, obviously it's a lot worse. I mean, that flooding is awful. The winds were about 93 miles per hour. They had gusts up to around 115 in some areas, but the main issue there is flooding, and then they have to worry about waterborne illnesses and things like that. More than 150,000 people were evacuated before the typhoon arrived. That cyclone is going to be shifting away from that island chain into the South China Sea throughout the day today. All right, Jamaica is still in a rough spot after Hurricane Melissa. This is the strongest storm ever to hit the island, of course, causing major damage. With the tourism season just around the corner, people like to leave the U.S. when it's cold and fly down there to get some warm air, so their season's just ramping up. So with that tourism season right around the corner, officials are really racing to try to get things rebuilt. That's really part of the lifeblood of their economy. The hurricane left Jamaica with approximately $22 billion in damage, and experts say that recovery, get this, could take more than a decade. International aid is coming in to help.
Jamaica need help, man. We mash up first. We never history this in our life. First, we have to see this in life, man.
When I climbed through the yucca field, I felt like crying. In just 3 or 4 hours, everything was destroyed.
Companies like Disney and Home Depot are stepping up with donations to support relief efforts. It's a challenging time, but the community is pulling together to recover. All right, now this will put a smile on your face. I saw this story, I said I have to share it because it just really put a big smile on my face. So in the aftermath of Hurricane Melissa and all the terrible tragedy we just saw, this lady just really made me happy this morning, and I wanted to share her story with you. She's been stranded in Jamaica for a week and was just overjoyed to return home. Here's the report from Fox's Manny Martinez.
Beaming from ear to ear as she walked through the airport, Monica Gray, relieved to be back home in Orlando.
Oh my God, thank you, Jesus. I was like, I was so happy. Oh my God, I was like, am I really here?
She and 24 family members were stranded at their resort in Jamaica after Hurricane Melissa.
I've been trying to get home since last Tuesday. I'm finally home.
She shared her survival story with other incredulous travelers.
I've never seen such wind and rain.
They tried everything, even booking multiple flights, only to have them canceled time and time again. They watched as the state rescued 28 Floridians this weekend, but no one from their family. They say frustration seeped in when they saw their Canadian family members evacuated quickly.
It was heartbreaking, but every evening we got together.
It was get on any flight you can. Diane McCullough was separated from her mother, who has stage 4 breast cancer and is now out of medication. The urgency elevated by the fact she's due for chemotherapy later this week.
I'm happy to be here, and I'm going to make sure I connect with them and make sure they get home safely. They're on a connection flight. They should be getting on it within the next hour.
Now that you're home, what's the first thing you're doing?
I'm going to go take a hot shower.
Manny Martinez, Fox 35 News.
That lady is a delight. All right, so a similar situation here. A Georgia woman flew to Jamaica to stay at a resort with a bunch of her friends. They all became stuck. So here's her story from our Fox sister station in Atlanta.
Layla Scott and her college friends had just landed in Negril, Jamaica on October 24th when they learned Hurricane Melissa was also on the way.
I received a notification from Delta about the storm 4 hours after I landed.
Unfortunately for them, flights off the island were already being canceled. Scott says instead of diving into fun, their attention shifted towards preparing for severe weather and hunkering down at a resort.
They were relocating families to parts of the hotel because they didn't have enough accommodation. Some people couldn't leave the resort, and so they just made like a makeshift room where they were charging $150 per person to be in a cramped room.
It's a situation the group had no choice but to deal with.
The scariest part was at the peak of the storm at about 1:30 or so on the 28th. That's when the winds peaked. And so just hearing the storm, it sounded like a freight train.
Now back in Atlanta, Scott's thankful to have made it out safe, but it's taught her a new tip to consider while traveling out the country.
For me, I'm not going to rely on technology. I know that if I do go to the Caribbean during hurricane season, that I need to do my own due diligence to see if there are any storms in the area that may impact my travel.
For Good Day Atlanta, I'm Annie Mapp.
Absolutely. You always have to stay weather aware traveling to the Caribbean. But see, I think a lot of people might have let their guard down because it was the end of the hurricane season, right? So a lot of people didn't expect late October landfall. All right. Have you ever thought about what you would do in a situation like that, in a disaster area where maybe all of the cell phone signals were down, all the cell phone towers were down? How would you communicate? Well, JD has a review of a product coming up next that might solve that problem.
Fall's here. The leaves.
Welcome back to the extended version of the Hurricane Gear Test. I'm Fox 26 meteorologist John Dawson. Glad we have Fox Local so we can take a little bit more time sort of going into the product that I want to review this week. And this week, we are talking about a satellite communication device. Now, I have quite a bit of confidence in the cell phone tower network. It's held up pretty well over the years, but I'll tell you, during Hurricane Beryl, or right after Hurricane Beryl made landfall here across Southeast Texas, I was a little disappointed at how well it was working at my house. So I think some of us probably experienced that as well. And I think in a bigger picture, we need to think about what we do if, in fact, the cell phone tower network goes down, or at least maybe it's slowed down so much we can't quite do as much as we want. And the easy answer to that, and when I say easy, the first thing I think of is satellite communication devices. Now, they are a bit different in the way the technology works. A quick review: obviously, a cell phone connects to a cell phone tower, which is on the surface, right? It's on Earth. But this device, a satellite communication device, connects with satellites that are hovering about 12,500 miles above the surface of the Earth. Those are also the same satellites that are pretty much used for the majority of the GPS coordination. So that's kind of a nice benefit here to this device, is not only are you able to use it to communicate, you're also able to get your GPS coordination with it. Now, I need to stress, I've been using the term cell phone, but this is not a satellite phone. This device cannot be used for talk, cannot be used for speech. It's a communication device. It's a messenger. It will send text messages and emails. And let me start by noticing, you can probably see here, it looks a little primitive with its QWERTY keypad that's built in. But that's really sort of the thing that sets it apart from the other satellite communication devices that I've seen out there. This particular satellite communication device can be a standalone communicator, meaning you don't have to have a cell phone to connect to this with Bluetooth. A lot of other communication devices that uses satellites requires a cell phone to connect through Bluetooth to the device, and then it can communicate. Now, this device will do that. You can connect your phone to this with Bluetooth, and it has lots of functions and availabilities with an app and things like that. But it will also be a standalone communication device. And the first thing that it has that is great for emergency situations is an SOS button. So underneath this little protective flap, you'll open this up, and the actual button here is located. When you press that button, you know, your signal for help is sent out to search and rescue. And of course, your GPS location is also sent with that. So they'll know kind of who you are and where you are, and the fact that you are reaching out for help. Now, if you need to just kind of let people know that you're okay, but you're not necessarily in an emergency situation, there is also a check-in button that's over here on the side. And this check-in feature, you'll predetermine who to contact, who to reach out to. So maybe your friends and family, you'll hit that check-in button, and that'll send a message, again, with your GPS coordinates if you want, and tell where you are and that you're okay. So that is usually used for recreational purposes, because this device is not primarily designed, I don't think, for emergency preparedness. I think mostly this is used for outdoor recreation when you're going off-grid and yet you want to communicate. You want to check in. You do also want to have that emergency resources available to you when you're off grid. But if you're in civilization and the grid goes off, like after a tropical cyclone landfall, then you can use those features as well, reaching out for help, or just maybe checking in to let people know that you're okay and where you are. So again, what you would do with this as a standalone device is you could use those check-in or SOS, or you can use the QWERTY keypad here, and that will allow you to send those text messages and emails. This device has a phone number just like your cell phone does, and you can reach out to people, let them know where you are. So ahead of time, you would probably let people know, hey, this is the number, this isn't a spam, this is me letting you know that that I'm okay, or that I'm reaching out to communicate in some way or another. And that's kind of sort of the basics. As I mentioned, you can connect a cell phone to it. It has lots of features. That's not something that I explored with this device. I did not activate this device, which gets me to one of the most important things to know about a satellite communication device. It doesn't matter what satellite communication device you're talking about, whether it's a Spot device or another brand, they all have service plans that come with them, just like your cell phone. They have lots of different options and lots of different prices, just like your cell phone. You have the device itself, but you have to have a provider that gives you the service that goes with it. You have to have the service that goes with it, as far as how many messages can you get at a time? What other, is it active all the time, or is it limited? And again, there's lots of different prices that go along with that, but know that that's an expense that goes along with purchasing any satellite communication device. And I did not activate this one, so I didn't really play with the Bluetooth portion of it very much. I just kind of did more or less an unboxing on this particular device and what's involved with it. So I do want to let you know that this does recharge, a rechargeable battery inside with USB, and it has days and days of charge once you get that thing fully charged. And you're going to be able to have this as waterproof. So this is going to be very resistant to whatever kind of troubles you find yourself in, or maybe fun if you're using it recreationally. So kind of to close here, let me just say, I think this is one of those things that is great to have in emergencies, but it's probably not worth the expense of having it just for emergencies. If you're one that gets out and uses outdoor recreation enough that you might want or need a device like this, then certainly it would be something to have ready and on hand for emergency situations as well. But in order to just purchase it only for emergencies, I think that's a little bit more than what probably needs to be spent. As I mentioned, you have to have the service plan to go with it, but the device itself costs about $250. It's $249.99. $249.99. That's basically $250 for this device. Now, as always, I'd like you to go to my YouTube channel to see what kind of a rating I give this on my Hurricane Kit Priority Scale. I'm not rating it as a device in general. I'm rating it on how much it should be a priority to be put in your hurricane kit. So it probably gets a little bit of a lower rating than you think it might get, because it's a wonderful device and does great for what it was primarily made for, but for emergency purposes, maybe not so much. And remember, year-round now we're thinking about emergency preparedness, not just hurricane season. While you're on my YouTube channel checking that out, there are other satellite communication devices that I have reviewed over the years. So it'd be a good idea to maybe kind of look some of those up as well. So go to YouTube, search for meteorologist John Dawson, or go to YouTube, search for Hurricane Gear Test. Either of those will work. You'll find my page, you'll find my channel, and then you can see a playlist, or you can do the search through the videos however you want to see this one as well as some of the other satellite communication devices that I've done through the years. That'll wrap it up for today's Hurricane Gear Test, the extended version. More Fox Local coming up after this break.
Rise and shine, up and at 'em.
All right, so let me walk you through weather for the rest of this week and heading into the weekend, because there are going to be some changes on the way. First warm and then potentially chilly again. So this is the GFS long-term computer model that I have on here. I also do have the rain plotted on here. You're not going to see much of it. So here's a look at tomorrow afternoon. Heading into Thursday afternoon. So very warm for Thursday afternoon, heading into the 80s. Now here's Friday afternoon. Middle 80s, maybe even some upper 80s, and then here is Saturday afternoon, which could be the warmest of them all. 86, 87, maybe 88. But notice that front there at the top of the screen. Now, the reason I'm kind of telling you about this is not just because it may impact parts of your weekend, but because we're not really getting much in the way of rain, if anything, ahead of the front. As the front zips its way through, it may bring us a brief round of some showers. So you've got to figure we're going through the next several days with no rain. And then this front blows through here on Sunday, most likely leaving behind windy and much drier conditions. Now, this is the GFS forecast for Monday morning. I know this is skipping way ahead, but 30s and 40s around the state, but with some windy, kind of gusty, very dry conditions, that could mean that the chance for seeing wildfires would go up. All right, the temperature trend. Now, this is really interesting because we went almost 2 months. We went about 6 weeks. A little bit over 6 weeks actually of having above average temperatures every single day until the last 6 days. So the last 6 days in a row we've had high temperatures that were below the seasonal average, and today we'll probably be back above the average by a degree or two. Here's that fire risk I was talking about. So today, the only reason why, so you see that yellow spot north of Houston. The reason we have that today is because the humidity hasn't quite kicked in yet. So we'll have a breeze, and areas north of I-10 will still be adequately dry, that there's a little bit of that risk, especially in light of the fact that we have this drought going on. But beginning tomorrow and then going through the remainder of the week, it's just going to get more muggy out there, and a lot higher humidity means that we're not going to really have as much of that risk. As far as rain is concerned, will we see anything at all? Well, we'll start to see an increase in cloud cover probably by tomorrow. And it's not impossible that we get a little drizzle along the coastline tomorrow. I think the chances are probably a little bit higher heading into Thursday and maybe Friday, but those will be short-lived and very small. This is the long-term precipitation outlook taking us through next week. So this is next Monday through next Friday, so basically early to mid-November. Not much going on. Most likely we're going to have below average levels of precip across the state of Texas. And as far as the temperature is concerned, I think we'll start the week out on the chilly side and then probably warm up as the week goes on. So here's your futurecast taking us through the remainder of your Tuesday. Everything looks great. We will be cool again after the sun goes down, which is at 5:30 today. Not as cold tomorrow morning. Still chilly, but probably staying in the 50s instead of the 40s. And then the low 80s return on Wednesday, to be followed by more 80s. So you just saw that map I showed you a moment ago as we head toward Friday and then especially Saturday, 86, maybe as hot as 88. And then there's that front coming in at the end of the 7-day, bringing a 20% rain chance, followed by another cool down early next week. So it is election day if you're heading out there to the polls for this afternoon, or maybe right now. Everything looks fantastic, so the weather could not be nicer this time of the year, and for the rest of the week it looks pretty nice as well. All right, we do news like basically all day, don't we? Melissa is standing by for the news at midday, and that will be coming your way in about 2.5 minutes right after this. Of course, I'll be back with another look at your forecast as well. Don't go away, unless you're going to go vote.